When Tesla was preparing to go from building the original Roadster to what would be the first mass-market electric luxury sedan, the Model S, back in 2010, it knew it couldn't make all the batteries it needed by itself. At the time, Tesla was much smaller than it is today, and while it was setting up its own drivetrain factory in Palo Alto, California, and it produced some of its own cells, the remainder of those 18650 cells came from multiple battery manufacturers. Then, in September that year, J.B. Straubel, Tesla's then Chief Technology Officer, unveiled a partnership with Panasonic to produce custom nickel-based lithium-ion chemistry cells, which were optimized for use in EVs. Working together, the company produced cells that have been honed and refined, and while R&D has meant changes to the chemistry and further research has meant a shift to other form factors, the current standard is the 2170, and of course Tesla is hard at work spinning up production of its new 4680 cells. That relationship has been the backbone of Tesla's class-leading batteries. While the deal has waxed and waned over the decade plus since it was inked, Tesla and Panasonic have remained closely linked, and Tesla's Gigafactory announced in 2014 was based on the premise that it would be managed by Tesla, but Panasonic would be the principal partner responsible for lithium-ion battery cells. Gigafactory 2 was similarly a Tesla-Panasonic joint venture, but Tesla's now seeing other manufacturers, and Panasonic finally sold its stake in Tesla this year to allow it to better pursue other partners, as the two companies have decided to open up their relationship. It's undeniable that Tesla was vastly ahead of the curve in making the shift to EVs, and it's also very clear that it realised far ahead of other automakers that owning its own battery cell production facilities was vital to a stable supply of batteries. Which, as the world has transitioned to use lithium batteries in everything from toothbrushes to personal massage devices, we find it hilarious that we get a lot of invites to test those around CES time for some reason, and no, we never have. That need has become ever more apparent. And as we've seen mainstream automakers realise that the future is electric and that the future is coming now, we've seen almost all of them announce an EV that coulda, shoulda, woulda been amazing, but it turns out they can only make 7 of them in a year because that's all the batteries it can get. We've seen it with Jaguar's I-Pace, with Audi's e-tron, and with Kia's Niro and Soul EVs. Whether batteries are coming from Samsung, CATL, SK Innovation or LG Energy, the sudden upsurge in demand for this component has left mainstream automakers beached, with cars sitting packless or manufacturers' facilities mothballed as manufacturers wait for supplies. It's not only expensive, it's embarrassing. And it adds to the conviction that some automakers aren't serious about the transition to electric vehicles. And side note, I should be fair here. While it might seem like battery supplies are the only reason why an electric car doesn't get to your part of the world quickly, automakers often shuffle supplies and production around so that they don't get into trouble. For example, Ford earlier this year shifted almost all of its Mach-E production volume around so that Europe got the lion's share of the cars produced while other markets got very little, just so that it could avoid paying loads of money to the EU for missing EV sales targets. And that's before we talk about the recent debacle with LG Energy's batteries becoming Bernie. Automakers have to trust their suppliers, and I have no doubt that many automakers are revisiting agreements and checking how QC is handled at partner suppliers to make certain that batteries supplied by those third parties are safe. And of course, lest we forget, battery suppliers, including companies whose names may or may not rhyme with "let's see, frenemy," are notoriously scummy about the way they price up batteries. We've heard all kinds of insider reports about automakers having their supply contracts renegotiated when someone comes along with a larger checkbook and the ability to make certain problems go away that the battery supplier may or may not be dealing with. Depending on your philosophical outlook, that's either the joy of the free market or a terrible example of why capitalism sucks when facing a worldwide mass extinction event. So it isn't surprising that automakers with a serious intention to go all electric are getting into the battery game, or at least are partnering up to get into the battery game. because batteries are complicated beasts and making them quickly at scale is something that requires decades of research and technological development. This week, the latest in the round of battery partnerships was announced, and this one is hugely significant. Ford and SK Innovation are working together on an $11.4 billion investment that will see the two companies build an advanced vehicle auto production complex in Stanton, Tennessee, and a battery plant in Glendale, Kentucky. Blue Oval City in Tennessee will cover nearly 6 square miles and is intended to be the production site for the next generation electric F-Series pickups. It will be a, quote, environmentally and technologically advanced campus at which Ford plans to, quote, reimagine how vehicles are made, and which is part of Ford's drive towards carbon neutral manufacturing. Ford's stated intention is that this site, when fully operational, will send zero waste to landfill. Following the recent industry shift to vertical integration, it will include both key suppliers and one of the joint SK Innovation battery facilities. The Kentuckian plant, Blue Oval SK Battery Park, combined with the Blue Oval City plant, are intended to output 129 gigawatt hours of US battery production starting in 2025. These batteries will be used both in Ford's F-Series pickups and in other as-yet unannounced electric vehicles. And closing the loop on recycling, the facilities are linked to the deal we covered earlier between Ford and Redwood Materials, which aims to ensure that end-of-life batteries, once they've been through stationary power uses, can get recycled and those materials can re-enter Ford's supply chain. Circular economy for the win! Also hidden in the announcement is that Ford is investing $525 million in the US to train technicians to service and repair connected electric zero-emission vehicles, something that's vitally important if Ford's F-Series trucks are to displace their gasoline counterparts. It doesn't really need to be said, but having a truck that's out of action is very expensive for a business. So if Ford is serious about a shift to electric vehicles, and it is, then it's all very well having a great zero-emission truck, but if you can't get it fixed when it breaks because of a lack of trained mechanics, it's going to get unpopular really fast. And this investment, the building of the largest and most advanced production facility Ford's had in its 118-year history. Although, brief aside, while Ford has proudly touted that it's the most advanced facility it's built, it would seem to be somewhat of a retrograde step for it to announce building a less advanced facility than it had before. Sorry. This investment is a big shift in the way that Ford constructs vehicles. It demonstrates very publicly Ford's intentions going forward. It appears that the days of throwing batteries in gas cars and calling it golden are well and truly past, and that Ford is embracing its electron-fueled future. The future for Ford looks bright. Let's just hope it's not so bright we'll have to wear shades. That's it for today. If you liked the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and our other two channels, Transport Evolved Take 2 and Transport Evolved Shorts. We know that while a fair few of you are already subscribed, many more aren't, so go on, hit the bell and help us out. Let us know below what you thought of this video, and remember, play nice. If you're not fond of the YouTube comment section, then why not continue this on our Discord server? It's free, and we'll leave the link below. Thanks on behalf of the entire TE crew go out to the folks on my right for being our $15 to $49 a month patrons. Special thanks to our $50 a month patrons, David Jankula, Andrew Martin, Guido Drahoa, Brophy Wolf, Tesla in the Gong, Sean Ueda, Gordon C, Regine Fellows, Anonymous Freak, Jim Burness, Kyle Hodgson, Anthony Coates, Ricky Leong, Brian Newton, Laura Sanborn, Rory Litwin, and Denny Hyde, and our deepest gratitude to our $100 a month Patreon supporters, John Lyons, Marcel Ward, Reggie Watts, JP Fagerback, Will Graylan, Matthew Drobnek, Christopher Jones, Paul Conway, Ellery Hensley, and Ian. And a special welcome to all our new Patreons. Thank you so much for joining us this past week. If you'd like to join the ranks of our wonderful supporters, you'll find our links below to Patreon, Bitcoin, and Ko-fi. And of course, you can buy your very own TE swag at our Redbubble store. Thanks for joining me, and as always, keep evolving.